I didn't know the browser could do that. I'm going to talk about some fancy, shiny, cool, non-usable browser APIs, which should be fun. Let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Sam Bellen. I work for Made with Love. You can find me online as Sam Mego. I like cats. I really like cats. This is my cat. And I'm amazing in drawing pictures of myself, like you can see on the screen. So let's get started. The first API I want to talk about is the speech API. How many of you know that the browser can speak to you? A few guys? Cool, you can go out for a few seconds if you want. But, yeah. So yeah, I'm going to let my cat do all the talking and sit down, and hope you guys enjoy. No, that would be too easy. So yeah, the browser can talk to you. It can take a text and convert it to speech. So let's see how that we can achieve this kind of thing. Modern browsers have this API implemented, and with modern browsers I mean Chrome and Firefox, I believe. That's it. The first thing we need is a speech synthesizer. You can find one on the window object in your browser. I just cache it because synth is much shorter to write than window.speechsynthesis. I'm lazy. Once we have this, we can just create an utterance, which is basically just an object you give to the synthesizer, which contains the text you speak and some more characteristics of the text, like the voice or the speed or the pitch or whatever. It just tells the synthesizer, I want this text spoken in this way. Do it for me, please. So as you can see, the utterance says, hi, everybody. That's all I'm giving at the moment. Then we just say to our synthesizer, speak this utterance, and it does this.
Hi, everybody.
Cool, huh? But as you've heard, this was a low male voice, while my cat was a female cat with a higher pitched voice, and she talks a bit slower because cats are lazy. So how do we do this? Like I said, in the utterance, you can also give some parameters or some characteristics of the voice. Like first we get the voices available in the browser. I chose Fiona because, in my opinion, that was the nicest voice for a cat. I also increased the pitch, so the voice would be a little bit higher. And I decreased the rate, so it would be a bit slower. And
This is better, don't you think?
I think so. So that's... I should have made this an elm so I didn't do the thing twice, but fine. So let's recap. All we need to do to make the browser talk is we have the synthesizer, we create a utterance, give some text and some characteristics, say to the synthesizer, speak this, bam, your browser speaks. So that's the first API I was going to talk about it. Second, your browser can not only talk to you, but it can also recognize these things you say to it. It can convert your spoken words to text if you can speak very clearly in English. But it should do that. So let's do a live demo. If I click this button, it will start listening. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Live demos are super cool. Hi, everybody. You do need internet because your browser is not actually going to decode your audio yourself. It's going to send it to some Google server because only Chrome supports this. Decode it on the Google server and then give you some answer back. For some reason it's not working, so we'll just skip this and hope that in the later demos it might work. You can just believe me when I say the browser can recognize your speech. So yeah, let's see how it works. Like I said, it happens it does not really happen in the browser. It happens on a Google server, which sends you back the string it thinks that you said. And to start this, we need a speech recognition instance. You create one. And once we have this, we can configure some parameters like the English. I was supposed to speak US English. If you want intermediate results, like does it give you every guess that it makes of what you're saying in between, or does it just give you the result in the end when it's kind of sure what it said, that it thinks what you said? And then you give some event handlers like, what should I do when I have a result? Or what should I do when I have an error? And that's basically everything you need to do to make it work, if it wants to work. Yeah. Next one, geolocation. This one is a bit more common. I think most of you had these annoying pop-ups of news websites like, hey, where are you? Can I know your location? It's this API. It works in Chrome and Firefox, I think. Most of these APIs don't work definitely not in Internet Explorer, mostly not in Safari, and sometimes in Edge. So it's not really production friendly, but it's cool to play with. So as you've seen, it figured out that I'm in Leuven. Clever cat. How does this work? It even knows that I'm in the UB Center building. And it shows me the map. So how does this work? There is this geolocation object, which you can use to get your current position. And it will return some coordinates. Now, I'm not very good in reading coordinates, but when you use an extra service like Google Maps, of the Google Maps API, you can take these coordinates and convert it to a city name, a street number, because it's quite specific and quite accurate. And it gives you a result which you can really use. It looks something like this. You don't really have to read it. It's in the Google Maps API docs. But you just take the coordinates you got from the geolocation API, and we return the locality, which in this case is Leuven. And of course, oops, looks like my cat figured out you can send notifications in a browser. Cool cat. So there's a notifications API. You might know this from some websites like Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or stuff. They can send you a notification when they decide something has happened. Also, this is not very, very difficult. What you have to do is you first have to ask for permission, otherwise every random site you visit could start sending you notifications like, hey, look at this. You want to click here because I have an ad which I don't want to show, but if you click on this notification, it's an ad and stuff like that. So you have to ask for permission, and the user has to give the permission before you can send a notification. But once this is done and the permission is granted, all you have to do is just create a notification. The notification's first parameter is just the title text, and then you can give some extra stuff like the body or an icon, picture your cat, of course, and it looks something like this. So with these few simple lines of code, you can create an amazing notification. You might notice that this is not the OS X default style notification. Firefox does this, and Chrome is going to do that in the next release, I believe. So it is going to look like a real native notification. It's also possible to add a click event handler to these notifications, just like notification.onClick, do stuff, open a new window, or something like that. And then, of course, you also have push notifications, or push notifications, which is a little bit different. The difference between a regular notification and a push notification is that a regular notification gets sent by the front end. So the JavaScript of the website you're visiting at the moment tells you to show this notification, while a push notification gets sent from a backend server, a push server, through a service worker to the front end. So if I do this, hopefully we will have a notification. We have one. It looks the same at this moment, but you have to realize that this is sent from a backend server. When I click that button, it did a request to a server. The server sent back a push message to me, and I show it. This is, what's the difference? It comes from a server, blah, 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 blah. But the cool thing about this is your window does not have to be open for your browser to receive these push notifications. Since when you visited this website, a service worker was installed, which starts listening to a push event and then shows a message when there is a push event. So let's do another live demo. They're all live demos, but still. If I do this, there's more stuff which suddenly came through. But as you can see, there is a notification I just sent. If you want to read the text in my terminal, it says, meow, here's the push message, blah, blah, blah. And my browser window is not even open yet. This is really cool. You can show notifications while the user is not on your website. And now I have to open my presentation again. All right. So how do we do this? To start listening for a push event, you first have to create a service worker and start listening to the push event. The first thing you do in your main.javascript, whatever, you register a service worker in another JavaScript file. In this case, it's serviceworker.js. And then when the promise resolves, you can do something. Once it resolves, we have access to the push manager, which is just going to manage all the push notifications which come into the service worker. Something like this. And then when we get a push manager subscription, which is basically like an ID, this browser has this ID, so if something needs to happen and you want to send it to this user, send it to this ID of this push manager, and we send that to a server, so we later know that, my account is linked to this push manager instance or this ID. And once we're subscribed, you can use the service worker, which is not in the main JS anymore, but in the service worker JS, and you can start listening for a push event. And when a push event comes in, I just show a notification. You can also take these data from the push event itself, but for this, this demo, I just show a standard title and body, and then you register it and show notification when it happens. The next thing you can do is use the battery manager API. Your browser can see the level of your battery, how much it's charged, and stuff like that. It's kind of stalker, you know? So as you can see, my battery is fully charged. On the top, my battery is fully charged. It's charging. You can see the lightning bolt. But if I unplug this, something happens. I did not press my button. It sends an event when you unplug, or plug back in your remote. Voila. So that's kind of crazy. You would think, why would a browser want to know my battery status and stuff like that? Well, at one time, Firefox made Firefox OS, which was basically JavaScript and HTML based. So they invented a few APIs which are not really useful, but useful for them at that time. And Google just adapted them. So how does this work? Navigator.getBattery. You get a battery object. From that battery object, you can read the level of charging, or is it charging or not, the level of your battery, how long it will take until the charging is complete, or how long it will take until your battery is dead. And you can also listen to events of these when this data changes, and then do something like advance to the next slide. The next thing you can do is the Media Recorder API, which is kind of cool. It records media. Yep, that's what it does. So let's try something on stage. Yeah, this is recording me as I speak. So hi, Puss, this is a message for you. And now it takes a bit. My laptop is slow at the moment, I hope. Or it threw an error because I didn't use Elm. But this is going to record your media, and you can then play it later in a video element. No. But second demo that didn't work. Cool. But the thing is, you have to believe me again. The media recorder lets you record media, and then you can convert it into a blob or to something you can use later, or you can send it to a server, which you then use to decode the media stream and stuff like that. It does not only work with video, it only works with audio, but then, of course, you don't have to request the video, you just request the audio, pass it on to the media recorder. So this works like this. The first thing you need to do is get the user's media, the audio and the video in this instance, and it will return a stream. We then pass the stream to a video element, so I can see whatever is happening on my webcam. But to record it, we just create a new recorder, a new media recorder instance. We pass along the stream, and it will start recording when you say it to start. It will give you, you have a few event handlers like on data available and on stop, and on data available it will just give you the chunk of the last piece it recorded, and you can just save this somewhere or do something with it. And on stop, you know, like, I stopped recording, now I have to put everything together and do something with that. So yeah, on data available, I just take the chunk that was available and I push it into an array so I can use that array later to combine everything. When it's done, like I said, you combine that array, you convert it into a blob, and then you give that blob, you make it a base64 URL, and then you give that base64 URL to a video element, and then you should be able to play it, or not. So let's throw everything together. I made a demo, which I hope will work. All of you know this cool thing called Siri or Google Assistant or stuff like this. I have my own cat named Puss. And if I... She has a few tricks. So let's see if we can use the speech recognition API. What's my battery status? Does not work. So this demo is ruined. But yeah, you can use all these APIs to do some cool stuff, do some experiments. You can make your browser listen to text. Then when you get the text back, you can interpret it and execute some commands. You can show some weather forecast of the current location, stuff like that, which should work. Stuff like this. But it's quite slow.
Exactly, close with a temperature of 24.71 degrees Celsius.
It's getting less hot. So yeah, that's basically it, because my demos don't work and I don't know why, so I'm going to cry about it later. You can see this presentation at meow.samvega.be, and that's it. Thank you.